Alright guys, welcome back to the class. Today we're going to talk about the data management, which is a part of working with tables. To deal with the data stored in the database, here are the three major operations we can do. Insert, delete, and modify. So that we will start talking about the insert in this video, and then I'll give you some practices. And after that, we will start with the next video to talk about the update, which is modify, changing the existing data information as well as the delete operation. So you should already know what is insert. Insert indicating a new row is being added to a table with the insert statement. The delete statement is actually removing the row, and you will notice there is an S over here. We will talk about this one while we go into the delete and modify. Basically, you are able to delete multiple instances in one command, which is a little bit dangerous. The same thing with modify. So that's why I want to group the delete and modify into another video while we can focus on insert in this video. To insert data, basically we need to use what we call a data manipulation language, which is abbreviated as the DML statement of the insert operation. So here is the general syntax for the insert operation. First of all, you need to use the reserved word called insert into. This is talking about I want to insert something, and then we need to provide a table name indicating that is the table I want to insert with. For example, if we want to hire a new employee, then we would say insert into employee, and that's indicating I want to create a new tuple into the employee table. After that, you will see a bracket over here indicating they are optional. In the next line, you will see this optional part is optional. Basically, if you do omit it, which means that you don't provide the optional part, then the data that you want to insert after the values, you need to follow the order of each column of that table is being defined. So if the table is defining the first name, middle name, last name, social security, etc., the information that you need to input will follow the same order, which means the first name, middle name, last name, social security number, etc. So that is the optional part. However, if you do provide the column name, which means that you do provide the attribute name, then the values that you are going to input will follow the columns you provided here. Here is the notes talking about that one. The column names are optional. If column names are omitted from the insert statement, you must insert a value for each column following the order of the definition. So you may be curious, how do I know the order of the attributes being defined? Basically, we can use the describe table to look into that one and give you information of that. If you know the order of the column name in correct order, you can enter values in the same order, followed by the value, which again is another reserved word. So, like I said, if you don't know or not sure about the order or the attribute names, describe is actually the best function for you to use and then be able to look into every single table that you have in Oracle. If you do enter column names, they do not have to use the same order as they created. So you can see that if we do insert into student and then I provide every single attributes I want to insert, then the value for you to input will follow the attribute names you provided in the parentheses. This tells you one more thing. In this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 attributes describing the student table. In fact, if there are a total of 8 attributes and you only provide 6 of those with 6 values to match, the rest of the 2 attributes will automatically get a null value. That's one of the way that we can provide a null value into the tables that we have. When entering the values, numerical data is not quote. just like when we are writing the programs. If they are numbers, there's no quote needed. The character as well as the varchar2, so we talk about the char as well as the varchar2 data type, values are enclosed within a single quote. And this is very important. Oracle do not take double quote. So make sure you understand whenever you try to quote it, you need to use a single quote. The date format is going to follow by day, 3 letter to represent the month. So if it's January, it will be JAN, and then you provide the year using the 2-digit number. So this is the default format for Oracle to take the date data type. So there's quite a few things that you need to remember when you try to input the data into the database. So, as we mentioned, there are 2 ways we will be able to add null values into the data. So, the first one is implicit method, which is the one I have just mentioned to you guys a little bit earlier. In the implicit method, the column name is omitted from the column list in the insert statement. For example, insert into department, and then we try to put a department ID, department name. As you may remember, department actually has 2 more attributes. One is the manager, the other one is the manager start date. So instead of we put 4 of those, we only pull out 2 attributes, and we use the corresponding values parentheses, and you can see department ID 50, this is a number, so it's not quoted, while production department, which is the name for the new department that we want to create, is actually quoted by a single quote. Again, very important, a single quote. Also, don't forget about the semicolon over here, because that is necessary for you to see and for you to enter a new tuples into the database. The other way of inserting a null value is basically using what we call explicit method. In the explicit method, which means that we really put null into the values parentheses, and then we will be able to map a null value into the corresponding attribute. So you can see that the null value is used as a value for numeric column, and an empty string is used to the date or character columns. For example, we will be able to have the department ID, department name, location, employee ID, and we can really put a null value into an employee ID. Since the employee ID is a numeric value, so we use null to represent that. If they are string, then we put a single quote, another quote with nothing in there, that will be also be used to represent a null value over there. So we've talked about the insert operations. Now it is important for you to have some practices. And therefore, I want you guys to take a look again about the relational schema diagram for the company database. And I want you to pay attention to the 3 tables: employee table, department table, as well as the project table. So they are somehow related to each other. More importantly, when we try to look into the data, you can see that there are 8 employees, 3 departments, and 6 different projects. Here is what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to pause the video and then really bring out your Oracle. You should have the structure for the 3 tables already. I want you to insert 3 tuples for each one of that, and then to have a practice to really go through those quote, single quotes, date, data type, numbers, numerical numbers, data type, really give yourself a little bit of practice and then see how are the things are going to work. Once you have successfully insert the tuples into the database, which is a little bit difficult because there is one thing I have not touched yet, which is about the foreign key information. So in this case, have some practice, seriously. And then when you come back to the video after you resume the video, I want actually to show you how is the data being successfully inserted to all of this. Assume that you have successfully inserted some data into your database. Here is how you can really take a look. You use select star, indicating you want to see everything from the table name, the table that you are interested in. So for example, if we type in select star from employee, that's really seeing everything inside of the employee table. So I want you guys to pause the video and have some practice. Now, assume you have done some practices and you basically will encounter a difficulty. And that's something I want you guys to see. The major problem is probably lies in the foreign key. So if you still recall, we will be able to create a table. First of all, drop all the tables, and then we should be able to create a table one by one. I want you guys to notice this. After all the tables are created, before the foreign keys are formed. So basically you can see that the first part is about table creation. From here to here, they are insert operations. You will have this file into it together with the class slide. And so that you can really see what's happening. And I want you to have some practice over there. After that is done, I then added those foreign keys back in. Therefore, when we inserting all of the elements, there is no foreign key constraints that need to be checked. This is how we can do to creating what we call the initial status of the database. This only been done in the beginning, so that when the structure of the database has been created and you want to really put some data into the database in the beginning, of the whole database kick into function, then this is the trick that we can do. So again, we drop all the tables so that we can reuse this part of the code. We add in creating all the structure of the tables, and then we insert everything that we want to consider as the initial status of the database, and then we finally add the foreign keys back in. So I want you guys to see the whole code being in function. So you can see that if we come into the Oracle and then I can execute the code again, I'm going to use add C under the temp folder. And then this time the file is called dml_example.sql. So when I execute the code, you will see it will starting drop all the table, creating all the tables, and then inserting each row one by one, and then finally alter the table, indicating now I'm able to add the foreign keys up. So if we try to type in the code, select star from employee, and take a look at this. If I hit enter right now, it will show me a column number 2 or the row number 2. That's indicating I am missing a semicolon. So you can put a semicolon over here, put an enter. You will be able to see all the data that's about the employee. You may be curious why they look so awkward. Because we have several attributes. We have actually too many attributes that want to be put over here. In our next topic, we will be able to see how can we control that. Now, if I'm trying to do the same thing one more time about the project, you will see that the table looks a little bit neater right now because it's not as many attributes as before. If we look into the department, then it's actually in a very nice table format. So this is something I want you guys to practice. Although I provide you the whole code for the company database, I really want you to have some practice. So don't assume that you can take a look of the code and understand everything. You really need to sit down and have some practice and try to make sure you are able to make this happen. The next part of the video will be talking about modify as well as delete.